and welcome to this, and it's a day late, and I'm sorry. This is my sacrifice review, which is a day late, and the reason for that has to do with the fact that my power went out halfway through the pay-per-view last night, so I was not able to finish it as I had to work this morning, so I was able to, thanks to the internet, get it and watch it, and yeah, see the rest of it. So, here we go. So let's get started. I did want to do some other videos, and I thought about doing just an hour-long video and covering everything I was going to cover, but I know every time I do one of those long-ass videos, people get upset, so we'll see if I can put, UFC Undisputed away long enough tomorrow, because I am off, to actually make at least, I might do a semi-review of UFC Undisputed and UFC 98, because I do kind of want to talk about just a little issue I have after UFC 98. But anyways, we'll get to that. And UFC Undisputed, which I'll talk a little bit about since I've talked about other wrestling games, and it is, I would say, pretty much a wrestling game. But anyways, let's get started. Yeah, this was actually, I thought, a pretty good pay-per-view overall. Actually, for a throwaway pay-per-view, which this is what it felt like. And I said this after Judgment Day, that I wish the WWE would treat their throwaway pay-per-views the way they treated Judgment Day. This is the way I wish TNA would treat their throwaway pay-per-views, because I think that they had a format set up which was very good, and would allow for at least good matches, and a pay-per-view that was at least almost worth the money to buy. Probably not quite, but I enjoyed this a lot. For what it was. I mean, it was what it was. I got some good wrestling out of it, so that is a positive thing. And anytime you can get good wrestling out of TNA, and the booking not be totally stupid, though parts of it wasn't totally moronic and just where you had to hit something. But so overall, I thought this was a pretty good pay-per-view effort by TNA, so there was that. So let's get started. You had the pre-match show, which I'll talk about because everyone's been talking about the pre-match show, which was Amazing Red versus the Immortal Wannabe, and this was pretty fun. I think Dirty White Boy kind of put it the best, is this would be a really good match. I think he's mentioned this. Pretty good match on Impact if they would have actually, given Impact kind of this match. It was about a 7-minute match, and it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything it wasn't supposed to be, and it was just kind of what you would expect. Kind of set the pace for the pay-per-view, and I think got the crowd kind of hot too on the event, which the crowd was pretty hot throughout the whole show, and I think that helped the show a lot. They started out the show with a very long promo package, and we got a lot of promo packages for the main event throughout the night, which kind of helped the main event, except, of course, the main event didn't deliver, which I think then turns around and hurts the main event, because you put so much emphasis on the main event, and then when it doesn't deliver, it just kind of falls flat. But that's a very minor point. Started the night out officially with Eric Young, Lethal Consequences versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Sheik Bashir. They had set this up pretty well, but I still think it was just kind of a thrown together match. This was kind of, just kind of their match. But this was very good, I thought, for what it was. This was just supposed to go out there, be an X Division kind of spot fest. That's what it was. They kind of went over the top with the spot fests a little bit, where they were hitting too many big moves. And it kind of went too long. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a story told. And they tried to tell a little bit of story with Eric Young, but I don't think it really worked very well. But it was a good match. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was fun. We saw a lot of good tag team wrestling, which I am always a fan of, so that was good. So very good. Good start to the show, and I would love to see more of this. This is the type of thing that TNA used to do. And particularly, like I said, kind of on a pay-per-view like this, which I don't want to really call it a throwaway pay-per-view, but one of the less important pay-per-views where you let some of these guys go out there and show what they can do, and that's kind of what they did, and it worked. Then we had the Knockout Monsters Ball match with Daffney, who came out with Stevie Richards, and Abyss versus Tyler Wilde. They had set this up very well, and I am a big fan of Daffney, so I was kind of into this, except that I have no idea why this was why they called this a Monsters Ball match. Monsters Ball match, but it was pretty balls, by the way. This wasn't a good match, so I guess that kind of fits. But I guess they didn't read Jim Cornette's newest little blog, where he pretty much talked just about this. That this did not need to be a hardcore match. This could have very easily just been a regular match, and you still could have had the same ending, which saw Stevie Richards and Daffney attack Tyler Wilde and telling Abyss that he needed to put Tyler Wilde into the tax, which brought out Lori, or whatever her name is, the blonde, and to save Tyler, and then Abyss turned on Stevie, which all worked. It was pretty much an impact moment, but it worked on pay-per-view, I thought. I just didn't think it needed to be a hardcore match, which wasn't a very good hardcore match, and wasn't a very good women's match either. And like I said, almost a year ago, when Gamora left, the knockouts were going to suck, and they have been sucking. And, a point which was one of the little bright spots on the pay-per-views, because they've been trying to make it seem more important, I think, not letting the women just go out there and show what they can do, and not bringing in women who can actually wrestle, though now they do have Dark Angel. I guess they're bringing in Victoria as well, so that will be good. And you'll have some more women for Awesome Kong to actually wrestle with, which will be nice. So that will be cool. But this was not very good. The story I thought was pretty good, but I didn't think the match was very good. So there you go. Next we had a match I was looking very, very excited to see, which was Suicide versus Christopher Daniels. Suicide being Kaz. I'm guessing it was Kaz. I haven't read anything that didn't say it was Kaz, so I'm going to say it was Kaz. These guys have on the indies, I've seen them have very good matches, but this was not very good. The way they did the match, they went out there, had a match. Don West was trying to sell the point that Daniels was still Suicide, but he had found someone to play Suicide, and then the Suicide was basically going to do the job to Daniels. He was talking about the match being worked and all this thing. It was kind of funny, and it was kind of interesting, and it was kind of bizarre. It worked. The problem was the match wasn't as good as it should have been. I think Kaz was probably maybe just a little off. There was some miscommunications. It was kind of sloppy. And then we got a run-in and from the Motor City Machine Guns, and Daniels won. Then Daniels saw on the screen that the Motor City Machine Guns had come in and cost Suicide the title. And so Daniels was going to win. And so Daniels said, no, give us 5 more minutes. I don't want to win the title this way. So they gave him 5 more minutes. And then the match was really good. Before that, it was just kind of there. And then it got kind of really good. The last 5 minutes were pretty good. It ended in a time limit draw, which was okay in my opinion. I guess this is going to lead to probably an Iron Man match or something at Slammiversary, which is fine. Hopefully they have a better match next. I was really looking forward to this match. I think if this match had delivered as good as it should have been, I think this pay-per-view would have been great. I think this is the match that kind of, if you were going to kind of point to a match that should have been better, this was probably it. I think every other match was probably as good as it was going to be or better, so there was that. Next we had Awesome Kong versus Angelina Love, the TNA Knockouts title. This wasn't very good, but they told a pretty good story, but it wasn't a very good match. Love was running around trying to get herself disqualified, counted out, all of this stuff. She wound up winning with a spray bottle. Kong went crazy, killed her, blah, 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 blah. We will carry on. Hopefully they have, some sort of match to end this feud, and we can actually have Kong go against, the women who can wrestle. Love is good, or I said Love is okay. She's probably, of the current knockouts that we've seen, she's probably one of the better ones. But, Kong needs to be in there with someone that actually is really good, and maybe they can get some more life back into the Knockouts division. Next, we had Kevin Nash versus Samoa Joe. This match I was not looking forward to, but I thought they did a pretty good job. Kevin Nash came out. He looked motivated. Joe came out, kicked Kevin Nash's ass, busted him open, looked like he wanted to kill him. You can kind of feel the hate. I thought they did a pretty good story, and I thought it was I thought it was an okay match. I thought they went out there and did what they needed to do to kind of progress the storyline. Though, hopefully we're going to learn, maybe we'll learn at Slammiversary, Joe's mentor or whatever that it's going to be. Hopefully we get that soon, because, you know, it needs to be either revealed or they need to make it more of an emphasis, and they're not really, you know, it's kind of like an afterthought at this point, and that's not a good thing. So, next we had Beer Money versus the British Invasion, with the winner, of course, getting a title shot at Team 3D. This was very good. Like I said, I love tag team wrestling, so I enjoyed this a lot, which is pretty surprising. I think it just shows how good Beer Money is, though, you know, because Brutus Magnus, he's good, he's okay, I guess. He was just, the way he was introduced was not very good, and I think it just, you know, and a lot of people said that I was being hard on him, but the way his gimmick was, it didn't work. Now he's in a gimmick that works pretty well. Doug Williams, of course, is a very good wrestler, so that helped. Overall, it was a really good match. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully, you know, TNA does what Team 3D during this match was saying they were going to do, which is try to put some emphasis back on the tag team division, which is what needs to happen. It's something that would really separate them from the WWE, and, you know, there is that. Next we had, for the Legends title, we had AJ Styles versus Booker T. Another very good match, in my opinion. The ending was kind of screwy and kind of took away, but I really enjoyed this. I thought this was pretty good. Maybe the best Booker T match I've seen in a long time, which was very good, in my opinion. With I would give AJ some credit for that, but Booker seemed to finally want to actually be in there and put on a performance, which helped. The ending was kind of crappy, with the Survivor chick coming out, I guess earning her money, and throwing in the towel for no apparent reason whatsoever, I guess to build up the feud that's going on there and the storyline there. So it worked, and at least it kind of made sense from that aspect, I guess. But it was a good match, and I enjoyed it. Then we got the main event, Mick Foley versus Kurt Angle versus Sting versus Jeff Jarrett. This was good. It's probably about as good as it was going to be. Jeff Jarrett was hurt, so him and Kurt Angle could only do so much, and Mick Foley and Sting were definitely not going to add a lot to this match. This is the problem when you give Sting and Kurt Angle, or Sting and Mick Foley, the title, is that neither of these guys is really going to be able to carry the company, and even if you put them in there with guys who can carry them to good matches, they're still not. They're going to be good matches. They're not going to be great matches, and really TNA needs to have great main events, in my opinion, just to kind of separate themselves and like I've continually said, get a buzz going so people will watch the product. You know, to kind of separate themselves and give the wrestling fans something different from what the WWE is doing, at least from a in-ring perspective. But anyways, it was that. Of course, the ending was kind of screwy with Sting pinning Kurt Angle, so Kurt Angle is now not the leader of the Main Event Mafia. Sting is, though I always thought Sting was supposed to be the leader of the Main Event Mafia. Whatever. But, so that'll, so apparently that's going to change the face of the Main Event Mafia, even though I thought when they started it was supposed to be kind of Sting and Kurt Angle both switching roles as far as, the leadership goes. They didn't do a really good job of explaining that if Mick Foley wasn't pinned, he wouldn't lose the title, but I guess they kind of mentioned it and they kind of explained it to a degree, but I don't think they did do a good enough job. It was kind of confusing. Of course, this whole match was just, let's add as many stipulations as you could. Though the idea of it was not bad, and maybe they'll keep it, and then it will be kind of the thing for Sacrifice, is that the main event is a four-way where, each guy has to sacrifice something, as far as storylines and that sort of thing goes. So it was there. Overall, I enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed this better than Judgment Day. I think this was a little better than Judgment Day, or I think it was actually probably a lot better than Judgment Day. But it wasn't a great pay-per-view, but it was a very good pay-per-view in my opinion. I'd give it a 7.75. I thought it was very enjoyable, and even the bad parts of it, I think worked, and weren't things that were totally unforgettable. I mean, the two knockout matches were not very good, but they both at least progressed the storyline, which is good. Sometimes, you get these bad matches that don't even do anything. They're just kind of there, and they're forgettable, and they have no there's nothing's going to happen after them. Everything else was okay to good. I think that's, and while not, like I said, while not a great pay-per-view, I still think it was pretty good. I think if the X Division title match had been better, I think this would have been a great pay-per-view. But we got what we got, so there is that. And with that, I'm out of here. Hopefully, like I said, if I can stay away from UFC Undisputed long enough, I do want to do a video about Jim Cornette and the 2 articles he's put up on his webpage, and also the interview he did for the Wrestling Observer, which I also want to talk about. I want to talk about all 3 of them because I think they all 3 kind of fit in to one another. So I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about UFC Undisputed. I do want to review that, as people apparently like it when I talk about video games for whatever reason. But anyways, there is that. With that, I am out. Have a good one, and